In a shadowed castle north of Berlin, where mist clung to the trees like secrets, the emperor's most trusted friend staged midnight performances under flickering candlelight, poetry, music, and strange rituals that no soldier dared speak of. Behind velvet curtains, where generals were expected to be made of steel, something softer, unforgivable, in a rising empire, was whispered through keyholes, burned into letters, and eventually shouted in courtrooms. And when the truth came out, it didn't just end friendships, it shattered a throne. It set fire to the fragile peace of Europe. And it left one man, once the most powerful figure in the German Empire, wandering his palace halls alone, betrayed, broken, and preparing for war. This isn't just a scandal, it's the moment the German Empire lost its mind and its soul. Between 1907 and 1909, the German Empire was shaken by a scandal so sensational, so politically explosive, that it tore through the Kaiser's court like a slow-burning fuse. It began with whispered accusations of homosexuality among Germany's elite, noblemen, generals, even the emperor's most trusted advisor, Prince Philip zu Eulenburg. But this was no mere courtroom drama. What unfolded over the next 2 years was a calculated campaign of exposure, orchestrated by journalists, rival factions, and embittered bureaucrats, men who saw personal shame as a political weapon. As headlines blared and trials dragged on, the scandal didn't just destroy reputations, it shattered the fragile peace faction within Wilhelm II's inner circle, and opened the door to the aggressive militarists who would lead Germany toward catastrophe in 1914. This is the story of the Eulenburg Affair, Imperial Germany's forbidden secret, and how it helped pave the path to World War I. It began innocently, or so it seemed. April 19, 1886. A young Prince Wilhelm attends a hunting party in East Prussia, where he meets an aristocrat named Philip zu Eulenburg. The two men bond instantly, not over politics or power, but over poetry, music, and long philosophical walks through the forest. Over the next 20 years, Eulenburg would become Wilhelm's closest confidant, forming the heart of an elite group of noblemen and military officers that would gather at his Gothic estate, Schloss Liebenberg. They called themselves the Liebenberg Circle. They drank, composed music, staged plays, and quietly, they began to influence the direction of the German Empire. When Chancellor Bismarck was dismissed in 1890, some whispered that it was Eulenburg who helped push the Iron Chancellor aside. But by October 1906, enemies of the Circle were preparing their revenge. From a cramped Berlin office, firebrand journalist Maximilian Harden began publishing cryptic articles in his magazine Die Zukunft, the future. At first he used code. Then, on April 27, 1907, Harden dropped all pretense. He directly accused Eulenburg of being a homosexual. In October 1907, the first trial began. General Kuno von Moltke, another member of the Circle, sued Harden for libel. The courtrooms were filled with journalists, aristocrats, and scandal-hungry crowds. Lily von Elba, Moltke's ex-wife, shocked the public by testifying about her passionless marriage. Her raw, sexual honesty was unlike anything Germany had ever heard, yet from a woman in public. More trials followed. In June 1908, Eulenburg himself was indicted for perjury. 10 keyhole witnesses testified they had seen him in compromising positions. Some claimed they were participants. Others claimed they just watched through literal keyholes. In October 1908, just as the scandal reached its peak, the Kaiser made an unguarded statement to a British newspaper in what became the Daily Telegraph affair, triggering another national crisis. Finally, in July 1909, the exhausted Chancellor Bernhard von Bülow resigned, a political casualty of both scandals. The damage was done. The pacifist Eulenburg Circle was destroyed. The Kaiser, humiliated and emotionally broken, withdrew into isolation. And into the void stepped the hawks, the militarists, who would prepare Germany for war. History rarely changes in explosions. Sometimes it shifts in whispers, in candlelit corridors, in crumpled love letters, in the silent betrayal between friends. The Eulenburg Affair began as a private scandal, but it ended as a political purge, one that broke a Kaiser, silenced the last voices of restraint, and pushed an empire toward madness. What if Prince Eulenburg had never been exposed? What if the peace party had remained at the Kaiser's ear? Would Sarajevo still have happened? Would millions still have died in the trenches of Europe? We'll never know. But we do know this: when shame becomes a weapon, when fear of difference fuels politics, empires don't just fall, they self-destruct. If you found this story gripping, subscribe for more hidden histories that shaped our world in ways you were never taught. And if you think scandals can't change history, think again.